They never tell you just how hard it is to keep recording, but nothing's going to stop me. So we're back with talking basketball, talking the top teams in each conference. And I'm excited today to bring you some coverage here. We'll start with the Eastern Conference. Of course, maybe one of the surprises of the season, certainly, one of the top teams of the season so far has been the Detroit Pistons. They lost 2 games this season. They lost the first game of the year to Chicago, lost against their first game of the year, and then lost against Cleveland. But since then, this team has just been on fire. And they're led by Cade with 27.5 points, near 10 rebounds, 5 assists as well. And another big one is Jalen Duren. He's just been fantastic. And here we'll pull up player stats just so we can look at that. But yeah, you look down here, there's Cade, 27.5 points per game. Duncan Robinson's been great off the bench. Isaiah Stewart off the bench. Jalen Duren, where is he? There he is, 19.4 points. He's been great shooting from the field, 64%. He has just been all over the court, and 12 rebounds. He's been good getting his hands in there, and Isaiah Stewart allows them to go 2 bigs. And this modern NBA, while it's becoming more positionless, the 2 big lineup is making a comeback in many ways. So my question about this team from last year was their depth. And they lost Dennis Schroeder. They brought in a whole host of guys. Duncan Robinson, who's been hit or miss for some other teams. But with Robinson, with Tulu Smith, Tobias Harris, Karis LeVert, a huge offseason signing. He's been 40% from 3 this season. And also Ron Holland, one of their draft picks, have been great. And Ivy is going to come back eventually. He had knee surgery earlier this season. So this team they're going to get better. They're a little bit banged up right now. But we saw Cade the other night. That was just an unbelievable game last night for Cunningham. He shot the most shots since Kobe in the early 2000s, missed the most shots, and even with the vintage CJ McCollum masterclass, it did not stop the Detroit Pistons from winning and keeping their streak alive, staying atop the East with sole possession there, 2 games ahead of everyone else. Next, New York Knicks. Let's jump in here. So this team, they didn't make a whole lot of changes from last season, and they've played fine this season. It's been a little bit bumpy. They lost to that's preseason. Let's go in here. They lost 3 in a row there to solid teams, Milwaukee and Chicago and Miami. We'll talk about Miami in a second. But the thing for this team is they've got a really easy stretch. So they have to play well early this season. I was looking down here. You scroll down into their February sequence. They've got Lakers, Wizards, Nuggets, Pistons, Boston. This is a really tough month for them. Almost every team will be 500 that they play in February. So there's going to be tough stretches. Right now they've got a lot of easy teams, and they've been a little bit shaky, especially on defense. Of course, they got rid of Thibodeau. They're figuring some things out. This team, they've got a high ceiling, but it's just that main core, as we know. So, yeah, we'll see how this team does, but I expect them to stay here right at the top of this conference. We'll move on here to the Miami Heat. Let me get my clicks right here. Miami Heat. So, looking down here at this team, they have been absolutely fantastic. This has been one of my favorite teams to watch in the NBA. There's a video from Kenny about them talking about how it almost looks like a March Madness team, the way they're playing basketball, but their ball movement, their coaching, their discipline, all these guys, they know how to play their roles on the court. And that has just been so impressive. So and looking down here at some of my notes, of course, they beat Cleveland in overtime last night, even with the Donovan Mitchell unbelievable shot. But this team, it's just been the power of friendship. They've lost to really good teams. They lost to Denver, the Spurs, and the Lakers, as well as Orlando at the start of the season. But the model has loved this Miami team. This has been the model's favorite team against the spread, betting against the spread, and the model Trey, if you don't know what that is, there's a video about that. But he's absolutely loved the Heat. And my question for this team is what Tyler Hero is going to do when he comes back. He's more of ball dominant. He's more of a shooter, that two guard, shoot first kind of player for them. But my question is, I worry that maybe his style doesn't fit in with really the rest of the nucleus of this team. You've got Norman Powell near 25 points a game, Bam with 20, 18 points a game for Andrew Wiggins, 18 for Jaquez. Davion Mitchell has just been fantastic handling the ball, 9 points, 8 assists. And another note about Mitchell, I can't help but notice how so many players that the Kings have drafted or have, they're solid players, but they never hit their potential in Sacramento, and then somewhere else they go and play really, really well. And they got Mitchell for a second rounder from Toronto last year. They had the Heat, second rounder, and PJ Tucker, who warmed the bench for him. So that doesn't look bad at all. This team has just been awesome. We'll move on down here to Cleveland. So for Cleveland, let's get them up here. They're sitting at the 4 seed, 7-4, of course, in the conference. It's been a solid season so far for them. Of course, last year they started scorching hot, as we all knew. They've got a lot of solid players on this team. They started out a little bit shaky, and I haven't watched this team as much as I would have hoped. Been very busy, haven't been able to post as much, but I have watched them some. And Donovan Mitchell has just been unbelievable for this team. He's the offensive engine. He's been great. They lost Ty Jerome, who was a bit of a big time loss. They added Lonzo Ball, who's played solid minutes for him, has not shot the ball well. He's at 30% from the field. And my question is just the others for this team. Who's going to step up? They have Garland, they have Mitchell. Garland's been a little bit hurt this season, hasn't shot particularly well. But it's the two guards. Can you get better forward play? Can Evan Mobley make another jump? He's been good this year, very, very good, but it's been all Mitchell, and I don't know that this team is going to be able to replicate the magic. We'll see. They might hit a hot streak here towards the end of the season, but they've been pretty solid as well, sitting at the 4 seed. Expect them to be at the top. 5, onto the Milwaukee Bucks. This is an interesting one. I've got a lot of notes here for the Bucks, but a lot of people had questions about this team and what their offseason was really going to do to make it a better team. So they, of course, waived Damian Lillard. They brought in a couple guys. They brought in Miles Turner, that is, Cole Anthony, the end of last season. You really wondered what was going to be the engine of this team. Of course, it's Giannis that is just carrying the offense, but who else? You can't win a team with just Giannis. When they made that championship run, they had Middleton, the outside shooter. They had Drew Holiday, fantastic defender, careful with the ball in his hands, just a great all-around orchestrator, and the guard play was a bit of a question for this team. So it has been maybe as we could have expected. It's the Giannis and get out of the way show down here. He's averaging 33 points per game. I think, 10? Or is that 12? 12 rebounds over here, 6 assists. It's just been his show. But another huge note has been Ryan Rollins, averaging 16.5 points per game. Looking down here, Rollins jumped up from 14 minutes to 30 minutes this season for the Bucks, and he started nearly every game. He's also with 5.5 assists. He shot 50% from the field and 43% from 3 as well. Is it a blistering hot start for him? Absolutely. But his shots have been open, and the Bucks need guys to shoot. I think that this is they've got a pretty solid bench unit. The question here was, do they have another star? But I think that especially in the regular season, you need depth. You need guys to score if someone has an off night. And I think the Bucks are going to be just fine. Miles Turner looks like he's playing well so far with Giannis. Let's get out of here, and we'll get down here to the Bulls. Get down here to the Bulls. So, this team started out on fire, of course. If you paid attention, everyone was going crazy for a couple days. The Bulls were 5-0 to start the season. It's been a little bit less, well, here we can look at the schedule, but it's been a little bit less hot than just that. They went 5-0 to start the season, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. loss, win, loss 3 in a row. They've got Detroit. That's going to be a tough one as well. This team is good. My question is how good? And it's kind of hard to know because they just seem like a pretty average to middle of the pack team. So what's the ceiling? Josh Giddey's been great, 21 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. They've got good pieces off the bench. With DeSumo, it's been Herter. Jones as well. Trey Jones has been great at the backup point guard. There he is. But I think this team's in a bit of a purgatory. And you've got a lot of good pieces. You've got solid players. But I think as long as Josh Giddey, who they just re-signed, they want to keep him around, as long as he's running their offense, I think it limits other guys' potentials. Modest Buzelis was their first-round pick last year. He's been pretty good this year. He shot pretty well from three-point percentage, and he's kind of the ticket. If he's an all-star, maybe your team has a chance to compete. If not, they're stuck in the mid position. So I'm kind of seeing a 6 seed to play-in spot, which is really where they're at right now. And yeah, I think this team's in a rough spot, and a lot of these guys could be great trade pieces come deadline time. So we'll get out of here at the Bulls, and here we go. We'll look back here at the 76ers. They'll be the last team I'm going to talk about East. They're in the play-in, but I think it's important to talk about this team. There's a lot of cool stuff with them. So, players, looking down here, I think this team has been pretty solid, and it's all because of their rookie, VJ Edgecombe. He basically won them the first game, over 30 points. I think we talked about that on this channel, just how impressive that was, how impressive a performance that was for Edgecombe. And the rest of this team has been solid. Maxey has been just lighting it up, whereas he's 33 points per game, just been all over the place, 8 assists as well. Embiid has been a little injured, no surprise there. But yeah, I think this team struggles because they don't have as much depth maybe as some of the other teams around them. There's no one in double digits coming off the bench for this team. A lot of guys, it's Embiid, it's Kelly Oubre, who's been starting and playing well. Quentin Grimes has also been starting. He's been shooting well. Maxey and Edgecombe. But there's no bench play, and that concerns me. That concerns me about injuries and the longevity of this team. So now we'll switch it up here. We'll flip to the Western Conference, talk about some of the top teams over there. It's a bit more stacked. Oh, let's see there. Big story. We'll talk about that in a second. But Thunder here at number 1. Is there really much to say about this team? They haven't lost at home yet. They lost to Portland on a back-to-back on the road in Pacific time. And even without J-Dub, they still look fantastic. SGA has just been unbelievable for this team. 19 points from Chet. They've got a great bench this year. They really do. These guys from the bench are stepping up, and that's going to help them win games in the regular season. These guys that didn't even play in the playoffs, AJ Mitchell, Isaiah Joe got barely any minutes. He's been in double digits. And I just think that this team is fantastic, whether you like them or not. Personally, not the most likable team in my opinion to watch. It's a lot of Shea iso ball, foul baiting, but they're not going anywhere for a while, so we may as well get used to it here. And yeah, number 2, the Spurs. This team may be a surprise to some, not super surprised if you really looked at where this team was coming in. And with Wemby back, with Fox was going to be out for about the first month. He's back. He's up at 22 points per game. Wemby is looking like a potential MVP caliber candidate. 25 points. He's got 12 rebounds and 4 blocks per game nearly. He's just been absolutely fantastic, even 3 assists. But when you close a game like they did last night and you can just iso ball your 7'4" player that pulls up for 3 on the Bulls to win, I mean, come on. How do you even stop that? It's virtually unguardable. So Wemby has just been fantastic. They've gotten great contributions down here as well from some other players. Harrison Barnes has been a pretty solid piece. I think they've had him starting a little bit, mostly starting, but a little bit of bench work as well. Keldon Johnson off the bench. Steph Castle has just been fantastic. Playing alongside Fox, but also without Fox. Dylan Harper off the bench has been good. He's been a little injured as well, but a scoring burst. He's just so fast, so hard to defend. This team has got a huge future and emerging stars. They're just emerging stars. They're really, really good. On to Denver. Denver's down here at 7-2. They're third in the conference. This would put them at second over there at East or close to it. But yeah, this team, they traded away Michael Porter Jr. in the offseason. And so far, I would say that it's paid off. I think they've made themselves better in the regular season and more durable. Michael Porter Jr. always hurt, really streaky. But now it's putting more emphasis. Jokic, 25 points. 13 rebounds and 12 assists. Unbelievable numbers. Of course, he's in the MVP conversation. They're fantastic. I think their record kind of is going to depend whether or not Jokic is in the MVP conversation. But Murray, he's had a better season this year, shooting 48% from the field, 36% from three on good volume. Better shooting percentages than he's had in years past, as well as Aaron Gordon, up to 20 points per game. He shot extremely well from the three. He's been great. And yeah, they traded Michael Porter Jr. away for cap space and Cameron Johnson. Cameron Johnson has been in a serious shooting slump, 23% from the three-point range. That's a little bit rough. However, they also traded him for cap space, and the cap space has been important. Jonas Valanciunas, 8 points a game, 13 minutes off the bench. That's been huge. They also added Tim Hardaway, who's been shooting 40% from three. They had more money to go ahead and re-sign Christian Brown, bring back Bruce Brown. It's just this letting him go, Michael Porter Jr., really allowed this team to just build a more complementary roster. And I think Cam Johnson is going to come around. He's not that bad of a player. So I've got faith in the Nuggets, despite people that are saying Michael Porter Jr., he's averaging near 30 points per game or whatever it is over out east for the Nets with no other competition on offense. So be it. You're 7-2 and you're playing well. Let's move on to the Lakers. This team, along with the Heat, has been my favorite team to watch. And I know people have been talking about it. The Lakers are always in the media, but for different reasons than you would think in the mainstream that they're talking about. They have been good, yes. But if you watch this team without Luka, who's just been unbelievable, without LeBron, you would have said, if you didn't watch them, you would have said, this team's getting blown out. They're not really competing. They look stagnant on offense. But they ran a great system. MVP caliber Austin Reeves there for a minute. It was just great basketball. Reeves up at 30 points per game just because of how great he started the season. Even on mediocre shooting splits, he's been the offensive engine. And yeah, watching Austin Reeves ball, watching Hachimura play fantastic. There he is. They got Nick Smith Jr. for pennies on a dollar from Charlotte. They added Marcus Smart off the couch, who's been great. Previous Defensive Player of the Year. Jackson Hayes hasn't had to do much. Their big offseason signing was DeAndre Ayton, and if you had seen that, you would have said this team's not going to be better, but Ayton's been great for him. He's done exactly what they've needed. They're playing complementary basketball, and I think this team is underrated just because of how worn the pieces have looked in the past with LeBron as the engine. However, when you change out an old engine for a new revitalized engine like Luka, the team, the pieces, the rest of the car may actually run pretty smoothly. And I think that's what we're seeing here with the Lakers. So I've been super impressed just with the bench play and how this team looks. They're fun. JJ Redick's a fantastic coach. I want to see JJ Redick for a long time in the NBA. I think he's a student of the game. We'll move on here to Houston. Houston has been pretty solid. They started out really strong. The power rankings love them. Trey loves them. But not having Van Vliet has really hurt them. And if you haven't watched the team, Durant has been fantastic. There's no sugarcoating that. Durant has been fantastic. Şengün has really been the offensive hub at 7 assists per game, near 10 points. or 10 rebounds, 22.5 points. He's probably all-star. Again, no surprise there. But without Van Vliet bringing the ball up the court, running a consistent offense, it's just changed for him. So they're changing a lot of things. Udoka's changing a lot of things. This team has been good, don't get me wrong. They've got good bench play, and that's what I think is just going to carry them to a strong season. So they were the 2 seed last year in the West. We'll see if they can do that again this year. But they've got Eason, who's played well off the bench, double digits. Steven Adams, of course, the double big lineup with Şengün. Reed Shepherd's had a bigger role with Van Vliet's absence. He's been solid. He could be a huge trade piece for this team to get some more point guard play, potentially go for an established guy at the deadline, or maybe they'll hang on. Who knows? Jabari Smith has been solid. He's just kind of a 15, 5-5 guy, or 5-2 guy. And that's kind of what he's been this season for him. Amen Thompson, people expected him to maybe take a big jump ball handling. The issue for him has been, one, the turnovers. He's been a little bit turnover prone, and also the shooting. Shooting 22% from 3 just has not been a weapon on the outside and has not been super dangerous creating his own shot with the ball in his hands outside of the paint. Of course he's athletic. Of course he can get to the basket. But outside shot, he needs to keep working on that, if he just wants to become a more complete player and really help this team go over the top. So last team in the West we'll talk about today is the Timberwolves. This team, don't need to spend too much time, but they've been solid. No shocking storylines from here. Edwards has been a little bit hurt. He's missed a couple games. They didn't do very much to get better in the offseason. They let Alexander Walker go to the Hawks. And I think the bench unit has been a little bit shaky. For me, I just don't know what the firepower of this team is over the top. You can have a good bench with this team. Is it going to be the best bench in the league? No, it's not going to be OKC. It's not going to be Indiana last year level of bench where you can get guys scoring 30. But they're pretty solid. Of course, Anthony Edwards is fantastic. Jaden McDaniels has been great. And Julius Randle's had a good start to the season shooting well. But Gobert has not been very good. Maybe you try to flip him. What's been your solid bench play? DiVincenzo, of course. But who else? Joe Ingles getting some minutes. Mike Conley's been solid at point guard, but you drafted Rob Dillingham a few years ago, and he hasn't turned into that much. So just some questions to answer for the Timberwolves. This is a team I could see that plays super well and vaults up, or plays pretty poor and falls into the play-in as some of these other teams, try to climb on them. Over here, the Suns maybe. There's some other ones. Yeah, potentially down here. The Warriors are gaining on them. I wouldn't be shocked if they jump them. The Trailblazers have been a little bit up and down, but they could catch a hot streak. The Suns, the Grizzlies, yeah, the West is just stacked overall, and the Clippers have been bad, but who knows? They could turn things around as well. So that's going to do it for this one. This is kind of a long video, but just talking about some of the teams atop our standings here. It's been a great NBA season so far, and I've really enjoyed it. The model has really enjoyed it. We can look down here at the model. This is just a little sneak peek. I'll probably break down the model in another video, but here, let me slide him over so you guys can see that in its totality. But this is my total overall breakdown here for the model. So we've tracked a bunch of stuff, wins, losses. The model's been great at picking winners. Favorite covering has picked more winners. The best one has been when it's a huge differential. So we get 1 or 2 of these games per night. It's loved, some of the teams, especially the Miami Heat. And yeah, when it's favorite covering, I think just put in this stuff as well. When the model's been really close to the point spread and total, just pick the favorite. It's over 80% with that one. So just interesting stuff altogether there. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. YouTube is hard. Keeping videos up is hard, but I'm going to keep doing my best to give you guys content. We're going to make a push. Most of you probably aren't watching to this point, but we are going to make a push to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. That's the goal, and I will see you tomorrow. We're going to keep it going.